I just wanted to take another moment to talk a little bit more about this elected official body cam idea that I had, mostly because I think I have a couple more things I want to say about it that kind of flesh out the idea a little bit. If you haven't figured out by now, if you're a regular viewer, most of the time when I'm on here, I have an kind of like a bullet point list of things in my head that I want to say, but a lot of times things get left out or things just don't occur to me until later after I'm reflecting on a video. Now, most videos I don't reflect on them. I say what I have to say because it's pretty simple and straightforward. I think this body cam thing is one of those things that I'm starting to feel a little bit passionate about because it seems like an extremely impactful way to change the problems that we have in our society, in our government, and in the way that things work. There is no single catch-all solution. This is one thing we could do to drastically change the way our politics works, but it won't do anything by itself. So if you missed the last video, I encourage you to go and watch it. But I'll give you a little brief summary. My thought process is that if you want to be an elected official in the most powerful country, if you want to take a position of leadership in the most powerful country to have ever existed, then there should be a cost to that. It should be set up in a way where you're required to be a servant of the system and not somebody who is going in so that you can profit off of our system of government. You go in at one level and you leave at a massively different level. That's not our government system should be set up in a way that you are coming in to serve, and then when you're done serving, you go back to the life you had. You don't benefit from your service, and now you're suddenly a multimillionaire. Now, the reason all of this happens is because there's a lot of backroom deals and things that go on that makes it so that these people are able to get a lot of money from a lot of different people to sway our government decisions in a certain way. What's the solution to that? Well, you shine a light on all of that. You require our elected officials to wear a body cam or some kind of device that is consistently live streaming and recording their interactions on a daily basis, 24/7-ish, with certain exceptions, such as those elected officials who are involved in national security events or, private moments like sleeping and going to the bathroom and things like that. What I want to add to all of that is a couple of new thoughts on how to buffer that system a little bit better, buff up that system a little bit better, because obviously when they're sleeping, you never know who they're, or when they turn the camera off to go to sleep, or when they turn the camera off to go to the bathroom, you don't know who they're going to be dealing with. I'm going to tell you now, my first construction job, my boss justified the cost of my salary as being, I would likely save him more money in, tracking material. I worked at a construction company helping out with logistics and administration and stuff. I would likely save him more money in verifying information, verifying costs, making sure that they were actually getting charged what they were supposed to get charged, rather than, the vendor just putting whatever down on a sheet of paper. Actually having somebody to go through and verify that information saved him a lot more money than the salary that he was paying me. And he was paying me a pretty decent salary. And my thought process on that is that we could do the same thing by just hiring additional Secret Service agents to monitor our elected officials, especially during those times when they get their private time, like going to the bathroom or going to sleep or whatever. If we have a Secret Service agent who keeps a log, who is constantly watching, it's cheaper, I think, in the long run, especially on the grand scale of a nation, to have a actual person with a pair of eyes who is responsible for monitoring our elected official and making sure that they're, keeping track of who they're talking to, who's going into their residence, who's leaving their residence. Have the FBI and the Secret Service keep track of phone calls. Who are they talking to? Phone logs that need to be public, so that we know, they talked to somebody who is connected to a lobbyist. We need to investigate this to make sure that there wasn't any kind of conversations happening that aren't supposed to be happening. A little bit of investment into something like that, in addition to just, the technology that we already have, requiring them to wear some kind of a body cam that has live streaming capability to a service that everybody can watch, will make it so that lobbyists can't get a hold of our politicians and do the kinds of things that they're doing. Now, obviously, before they get elected, there's nothing we can really do about that. Once they're out, then they're out, and there's not really much we have to worry about after that. So there is no one solution that can totally resolve the problems. There are other things that we would have to do to cover all of those situations. But I think that at the very least, while they're in office, if they're required to constantly be monitored, to constantly have their conversations public all the time, they don't get private conversations anymore. Outside of maybe they can have a list of approved private people that they talk to. But even then, the problem with that is you would have to watch the family members and all of that so that conversations aren't basically being relayed out. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, there's no one solution. But here's my justification for all of this. The government wants to watch all of us. They want to collect information on all of us. And we're just private citizens of the United States. If they want to do that to us, I don't see why it's unreasonable to expect our elected officials to have to go through a far greater level of constant scrutiny than just average citizens who are just trying to live their lives, right? If they want to do that to us, then we need to be doing it to them. We need to force them to have to do that. We need to force them to have to constantly have all of their conversations in public, except in certain very specific situations, such as matters regarding national security and things like that. And I'm talking about House of Representatives, Congress, the President of the United States, all need to have constant live streaming devices on their body that are constantly streamed and widely available to the public. And then only in very specific circumstances can they turn those cameras off. And I'm talking about they go into the Situation Room at the White House and, there's a log of everybody who goes in, everybody who comes out. We know who was there and we can kind of keep an eye on, hey, was there anybody in there that could be screwing us over? I don't know. When you do things like that, obviously it's not a catch-all solution. It's not going to stop all instances of people trying to circumvent the system. But when you limit the number of places and interactions that private conversations can happen, then it becomes much easier for investigations to happen once you see something weird going on and you're like, wait, why is this happening? Nobody asked for this. There was no conversation that was had about this. All right, we need to go back and look at these private conversations and see who was there because we need to start. You see what I'm saying? Now, I know that some people are going to think that that's very communist sounding, and I get you. I get you. But here's my argument. I believe that the private citizens of the United States should have maximum freedom. I believe that we should be free to do whatever we want so long as we're not hurting everybody else. I am a libertarian almost all the way. I would prefer no government at all if at all possible, but that's just, we don't live in a world where that works. Okay? For private citizens, I think that's the way it should be. If you want to serve your country as an elected official, then you have to give up the rights that you have so that you can go and serve as an elected official. I had to give up rights when I went and served in the Marine Corps, right? You as an elected official should have to give up far more if you want to take up a position of leadership in our country, especially if you want to be the President of the United States. The further up the ladder you go, the more you should have to sacrifice to be there. So when it comes to our government and the people being in it, I think that a surveillance state is absolutely necessary to make sure that they're not doing things to screw us over. I think that having personnel that are specifically hired and dedicated to track them and make sure that they're not meeting with people they're not supposed to be meeting with is absolutely essential and would save us way more money overall, right? Just like I did for my construction company. These hired people will go in, and these Secret Service agents will be hired specifically just to. They'll have two agents each assigned to each of our elected officials, right? I think that would still be way cheaper than all of the corruption than what the corruption in our government is costing us, right? If you want to be a leader in this country, you should be going in with a servant mindset, not a I'm going to get rich off of this mindset. And I guarantee when you take away the opportunity to go in and game the system, you're going to stop getting these egocentric, narcissistic, whatever other istic you want to put on the mental state of these people. And you're going to start getting people who genuinely want to make the country better for everybody. Because when you can't be dishonest, or at least you're extremely limited in your ability to be dishonest, you're going to get the right kind of people leading the country. So I just wanted to kind of go and put a little bit more detail and add a couple of things onto my last video, because I truly believe that transparency in government can be done to a reasonable degree it requires us implementing some Soviet style surveillance, but it needs to be Soviet style surveillance on the right people. We need to have surveillance and monitoring on the people who are making decisions that affect the rest of us. That kind of stuff should never be applied to the citizenry. And I think that part of things could be turned around if we get the right people in office to make those decisions for us. Right? I think there's a lot of long-term follow-on benefits to basically just forcing every elected official we have to have every single conversation they have in public in front of everybody. Because then you're not, like, these people who are having these shady deals can only do the shady deals because they're able to go into the shadows and hide. And when you start shining a spotlight on that stuff, they melt away and, oh my God, I don't want to be seen here. It's absolutely doable with the technology that we have now. It's absolutely doable with the people that we have now. And it's going to save us a lot more money. It's going to make our country a lot more prosperous if the backroom deals that we constantly have going on that always ends up screwing the little guy aren't able to happen anymore. Or at least are extremely limited because there's very limited opportunities for it to happen. So that's what I wanted to say. Hopefully it made sense. Hit the like button, subscribe to help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Make sure you share this video. Don't just watch it and then like walk away. If you think that this is a good idea, either share this video, or if you're a bigger content creator than me, make your own video saying the same thing so we can spread this message out. I don't care. I don't need the credit for it. I don't care. The idea needs to go somewhere. And so if you are somebody who can make that idea go somewhere, please do something about it because this is ridiculous. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.